Welcome into a brand new episode of a whole new ball game podcast featuring Alex Fuse and Vinnie Pasquantino. I'm Vinnie Pasquantino. That's Alex Fuse. We're really excited for today's episode, especially me personally, because I know the guest so well. We've got Anderson Miller as our special guest today, and he's just such a great person to talk to, a great person to have on. And I was lucky enough to spend a month with him in Kansas City when we were at the first piece of Instructs, and I was just, very grateful that he came onto the podcast and was able to talk for us.
I agree, and this is my first time meeting him over Zoom, and he's an incredible person, an incredible story, and that's what you're going to hear today, and I can't wait for our audience to hear what Anderson has to say about everything we talked about, and we talked about a lot. Really insightful interview and conversation on today's episode, and again, can't wait for you all to listen in.
Yeah, in this episode, I called him a role model probably 10 times, and it's the truth. That's what he is. He's the epitome of a role model. He's what you picture to be in a professional organization. I mean, he is the standard, and it's just really excited to have him on. A portion of what we're going to talk about is going to be about the Players Alliance, which we will have links up today about where you can go to support them, what they're all about, and everything they're doing. They're going to be in Louisville, Kentucky on Friday, and Anderson will be there with a few other of his friends, and that'll just be a really cool event that they're putting on there. So we'll make sure to, put some links out there for them and feel the need to do whatever you want to do with those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, like you mentioned, and you can follow Anderson Miller on Instagram, and he's posting all the information on his Instagram as well this week. So if you want to, I'm sure you could either reach out to him too personally on Instagram if you want to learn more about it. I'm sure he's willing to do that as well. So again, can't wait to get into this conversation and for all of you to hear what we talked about. So,
well, hold on, Alex. Current events. Did you see that football game last night? No, you didn't. So we're recording this on Tuesday. Last night was the Browns-Ravens, an unbelievable football game. I believe it was 47-42 final score.
Oh, I saw that game. That was insane.
It was an unbelievable football game, back and forth all day long. Lamar Jackson had some cramps and had to run back to the locker room there for a little bit. Trace McSorley, the backup, got hurt, and Lamar came back out from the locker room, and then he went on a game-winning drive. Unbelievable football game. AFC North football, baby. That's just what it does.
I saw
that. Oh, go ahead, Alex.
Well, I saw you tweeted about that.
Yeah, AFC North football. Normally those games are like 16-13, but we'll take a shootout anytime, any day of the week. We'll take a shootout in football games. So, that was exciting. That's what's going on in our world right now. But without further ado, let's welcome Anderson Miller onto the pod. We have a very exciting guest on tap for today. A third-round pick in 2015, correct? 2015, Anderson Miller, a prospect in the Kansas City Royals organization. Anderson, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here, man. What an honor.
Yeah, this is exciting for me because you're a Conference USA guy. So we've got two mid-major guys on the podcast today, which is huge. Just simply because, in my mind, we're better. There's just no way around it, that's just how I view it.
Can't teach it.
Can't
Blue
teach
collar,
it.
man.
So that's where I want to start with my first question.
Okay.
You come out of you're a top pick, the Royals' third pick or fourth pick, depending on their comp picks that they had that year. But out of a smaller school, Western Kentucky, what was that like coming, going out to Arizona or whatever you did right after the draft? Just take us through that.
Man, it started really for me, like the chip on my shoulder started long before I got to even the Royals. I mean, coming out of high school, I was not heavily recruited. I grew up in Lexington, Kentucky, so University of Kentucky's there. Louisville's an hour down the road. Neither of those schools really wanted to offer me a scholarship. So Western set their eyes on me pretty early. They were the first school to offer me. Ended up being first team All-State that my senior year, pitching and hitting. Was just had that chip on my shoulder because Perfect Game gave me like a 7.5 out of 10 rating, which is like basically you suck. It's like being like a 1-star or 2-star football recruit. You hear of Lamar and guys like that weren't really that highly or whoever rated out of high school. But went to Western, and every time we played those guys, man, I was on a mission to just show them what they missed out on. And every time we played a school like that, or Vanderbilt, or the bigger schools, those midweek games are where you can kind of put yourself on the map, being a small college school guy. All the SEC games, I always had those circled on the calendar and took advantage of those, and found my way from being not really highly recruited to being a 3rd-round pick, 98th overall in 15, and went into the Royals system not really knowing what to expect, to be honest. I mean, it seems like ages ago, but that was 5 years ago. Things have come a long way in our system, but when I first showed up, man, they threw me right into advanced instructs with Mondesi, Dozier, O'Hearn, all the guys that are pretty much all the guys that I came in with or was thrown into the fire with have made a big league debut, or are currently playing in the big leagues. So realized what I needed to do quickly, and just kept that same work ethic, and haven't stopped since. I mean, still not where we want to be yet, but closer than I've ever been is what I like to think.
You brought up a great point where, even though it was a mid-major school, you still had the opportunity to face great competition and to showcase in front of a larger fan base or audience, whether it be on TV or just with scouts in the stands watching the other teams. It hasn't been announced yet by the NCAA, but it's looking like a strong chance in 2021. If we do have a chance to have a baseball season, there is going to be no non-conference games. So if you could give a player advice to how do they stand out when they're just playing conference games and not able to face that larger competition next season to have that larger exposure?
It's tough. Man, I was thinking about that even this last year. I know there were only 5 rounds of the draft, and I think about all the guys that had to sign free agent deals or couldn't get a chance to say they got drafted. And it really just comes to flipping a switch mentally, where it's just like you're running a race against yourself, and there's so many external factors that you can't control. I mean, you can't control that your team's not playing midweeks. I can't control that there wasn't a minor league season this summer. I can't control not getting moved up when I think I should be, or being somewhere I expect to be, or, a player not getting a chance to play a season that they were expecting. But all you can do is continue to try to improve, work on your game, stay focused on that, be better than you were the day before, and not really get caught up in all the other stuff, because comparison is a way to, anytime you're taking energy away from improving yourself or improving your game or worrying about the things that you can control, that's just wasted time and effort. And in these days, I think careers are going to be cut short. And I think the sooner that somebody can realize that, your days are numbered and you got to make them count. You can't be worried about stuff that you have literally no control over, the better off you're going to be. Because at the end of the day, like, whatever you put into this, you're going to know deep down in your heart, like, man, I gave it all I had. And there were a whole bunch of things that I had no control over, but I gave it all I had. So let's move on to the next chapter of life, or like, let's move into the real world. Or I can flip the switch from being a baseball player and walk away from it knowing that I left my blood, sweat, and tears all out on the field, and I gave it all I had in the weight room, training, nutrition, mentally. But if you don't, and you're like, man, I was just always not being a good teammate, I wasn't worried about being a good person, I was just kind of BSing around, just that stuff's going to haunt you at the end of the day, and you're going to wish you could go back. And the truth is, like, time stops for no man, and it's only moving forward. So you got to kind of be all in until you're all out. And that's where I feel, that's where I stand mentally right now. And it's helped me during the summer, and just to stay ready for whatever's coming, because I know that I'm giving it all my effort, even if it doesn't always get rewarded right away. I know that in my heart I gave it all I had, and I'll be able to sleep at night because of that.
So we've played together now. We played together for about a month, and we knew
it was fun. It was one of the best months. That was one of the best months ever.
Yeah. I really think that you have one of the best mindsets of anybody I've ever played with. And that stems, my thinking of that started really at spring training. You probably don't even remember this, but there was you and Blake Perkins were base running during like a little live BP session. They told me to go play first. And just you two talking about base running, I learned a lot from just like being a fly on the wall in that conversation. Like, wow. And you're somebody that everybody in the Royals organization looks up to. How did you develop that mindset? Was it something you've always had, or did you really have to work on it?
Man, that's a great question. I have had to work on that. I think when I first came in, everything was kind of sunshine and roses for me. Like, came in, 3rd round pick, top 30 prospect, was moving up a level every half season. So I played 10 games in rookie ball. Some guys never make it out of rookie ball. Played 10 games, went straight to low A my first short season. Went to low A again, moved up. By 2017, I was a half a season in, already in double A, thinking, it's just, I'm going to the show. Like, I'm going to fly up the system, like, whatever. And then, fast forward to now, COVID hits. I've played 2.5 years in double A. I've been told I was going to move up, didn't get to move up. It's like, okay, now what are you about? Like, anybody can do stuff when it's easy. And, especially having the summer to not step away from the game, have the game taken away from us. I got a lot of time to reflect and like realize, like, man, how am I going to write the rest of the story? Because the truth is we're all holding the pen to our own story. You know what I mean? And I was like, I kind of shifted perspectives. Like, like I said earlier, I'm going to go all in until I'm all the way done with this from a work perspective. And then from just like a relationship perspective, like, I think this where we're at in life and what we're doing is constantly going to be changing. Like, 2 years ago, you were playing at Old Dominion, now you're a pro ball guy looking at playing in low A or high A next year. Like, we're all doing different things, but nobody's really going to remember like how you did in that inner squad or in that month in Kansas. Nobody cares about the numbers. It's more about like, how did you treat the people along the way? Like, were you a good teammate? Did you ask people like, hey man, how's your family? Or, that's the stuff that matters. People are always going to remember how you treat them as a person. And I've just been more focused on the person first and the others around me and how I can kind of shed light on them or pour energy into them instead of just being focused on like, I want to make it because I just want to say that I played in the big leagues. Like, now I've kind of flipped a switch. Like, I've had to kind of come to terms like that may not happen, but what is going to stand the test of time is like the relationships and the impact I've made along the way, and trying to use my voice along the journey and use it as a testimony or to give hope to a player that may be upcoming or facing the same things that I've been through.
Do you think a part of that is, and I guess my question would be, did you have any teammates be that person that you could rely on when you were going through tough times?
I've had a couple. Some of the older guys that are in the big leagues right now have kind of calmed my nerves at times and been like, hey man, just go out there and give it all you got. Guy like Hunter Dozier comes to mind. Like, that dude is just solid. Like, from the day one I showed up, this dude's in the weight room early, working hard, and he probably doesn't even know it, but I was like, that's a guy I can look up to. And then you got guys that are older than that. Like, for me, a guy that I work out with in the off season, I've got a couple guys in Louisville, really good group around me. Chad Green with the Yankees and Adam Duvall, who was with the Atlanta Braves. I think they non-tendered him, so he's going to be with a different team because they couldn't pay him because he had a great season, which is great for him. But I've been working out with that guy, just soaking up everything I can for the last 4 years. And that dude I got goosebumps talking about it. That dude has showed me some things, just like how to be a pro and how to go about your business in a way that makes the people around you better. And is not selfish and is just being a good person, I think. And just seeing how that guy shows up, he's consistent, same guy every day, just always bringing his best energy, and then to see him go succeed at the highest level, and to see those guys succeed at the highest level after clocking in with them day in, day out, gives me confidence. And I'm like, I'm on that same path. I just need to continue to try to surround myself with people that are in positions I want to be in, and eventually you guys are going to rise up together. But those three guys have really kind of been my like North Stars, like of the player I want to be remembered as when it's all said and done.
So, you talk about wanting to be a good man, good teammate. You're so close, right? Like you're so close. So, yes, you want to be a great teammate. You want to be a great man, all those things, but you also want to make it to the show. So
Absolutely.
What is that mindset like, knowing, you are a role model for a lot of younger guys in the organization, but you want to make it. And those two things don't work against each other, obviously. But at what point do you kind of just have to say, I need to focus on what I'm doing to make sure I get there, and then other things can take care of themselves? Or is it just, I need to focus on being that good teammate, being that role model, and things will work out? Like, how do you look at those two things?
I think when I've been on both sides of this fence here, this like internal like battle, and I've been inwardly focused, like, man, I need to do good. I need to make it. I need to go out here and do better than this guy or that guy. And for me personally, that didn't work, because then I would get upset when somebody else would get called up or they have success. And now, like, I try to be equally happy for somebody else's success and celebrate them doing good, because that doesn't take anything away from what I'm doing. And that's put me in a better headspace and allowed me to just go through this career in a better way. Like in Kansas City, man, like when anybody else was doing good, I was fired up, because I know that's going to put me in a better place for me to do my job, because I'm fired up instead of like being a hater almost. And like that's no good for anybody, because this game, like, it's obviously a team game, or an individual team-based game. It's weird, right? Baseball's whack when it comes to that. Basketball, it's 5 guys. Football, one guy doesn't do their job, like quarterback's getting sacked, blown coverage, guys getting a Hail Mary, sorry about your Jets, but like Henry Ruggs happens, they send the house.
Yeah, I mean, that's a little upsetting, but we don't need to get into that. I mean, we don't need
bad. I just remembered you're a Jets fan. I was thinking about what you've been going through.
Anderson, just let him have it. He deserves.
I'm sorry, man, but geez. But no, man, like I know, like for me, I'm in the place where it's like, man, I work my ass off, do things right, treat people right. It's only a matter of time. I just gotta stay consistent and stay on the right path, and eventually something's gonna give. So I guess, like, in my mind, with the people I train with and the work that I do, I haven't thought of myself of anything less than a big leaguer for a couple years now. Granted, COVID shut the season down, so I didn't get to truly do what I wanted to do. But I mean, you saw in Kansas City how things went. Like, I don't think that you would disagree that I thought anything different. But I guess just having that chip on my shoulder, and also working along with having talent and being in the right state of mind, is just like a perfect storm for success. But we can't always control the speed of when it happens. So like your direction is way more important than the speed, because you could be going 100 miles an hour in the wrong direction and you're going to end up way off. But, like, it's more about just like keep stacking the good days, keep having the good days, keep having good reps, keep having good at bats, pitch by pitch, being a good teammate to everyone, not burning bridges with people, treating people with respect, and all that stuff just kind of adds up and puts you in a better place and the people around you in a better place.
Yeah. Well, the thing I look at it like that, and we've talked about it, is what's the point of making it if there's nobody to like celebrate with, or to like have your boys up there too?
Right.
If you're just on your own island, how much fun is that? Yes, you're in the major leagues. That's sick. But if, the people around you don't enjoy what you bring to the table, what is the point of everything? Like, this is what's
not going to last very long either.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's just like, it's all about the relationships you build. And, you know, like I'm pumped for the day that you make it and I get to just text you, and you probably won't even respond because there'll be 2,000 people texting you, you know, but that's what it's all about. Like that's what you have created. And it's what guys like me are trying to also create, is that where I can text you and ask you to come on the podcast and you're just like, yeah, let's find a day and
Absolutely.
do it. You know, like that's what it's all about to me. So some things about you too that people, you know, if they follow you, which we'll get into your social media after about where people can follow you and everything, but you are passionate about things off the field too. And some of those things relate to things that are to do with baseball. Some of them aren't. So what are some things that you're really passionate about? Yeah.
Man, this year has made me step into a place that I wasn't always comfortable stepping into, using my voice. So George Floyd, racism, you know, Jacob Blake, we go down the list, right? This stuff's been around. It's been put in our face because we haven't had anything else to do but sit there and look at it this year. So everything's going on with racism and the, you know, protests around the country and riots and Breonna Taylor here in Louisville. I live in Louisville right now, so I was getting a firsthand look at this stuff, and I'm like sitting at home and I'm like, what can I do here to make an impact? Because I'm clearly not getting to play baseball. I've always kind of known I've had an ability to use my voice in a way that sounds respectful, but not like too abrasive or just like gets like people just kind of shut it out. And with me being half black and half white, so my dad is black man, grew up in rural Kentucky. My mom is white. She also grew up in rural Kentucky. They experienced racism in their relationship. Like, it's directly affected my life. I'm trying to figure out like how can I have a voice here? And you know, I kind of stepped up and was just like, I want to be about something bigger than just the game. Like I want to eventually use my status as being a Major League Baseball player, professional athlete, to impact the community that I'm around, the communities I grew up in, and give kids that may not have an opportunity to play the game a chance to experience something and have hope in life that, you know, they don't have to just play basketball or football. Like, baseball's an option too. But I was able to, Western Kentucky reached out to me during all this, and I hopped on 2 podcasts with WKU Sports, Red Towel Radio, and we talked for about an hour about all this stuff. And that gave me some confidence. And then the next thing you know, like a week later, I found myself in a Zoom call with Dayton Moore and Reggie Sanders and JJ. And, you know, they're asking me like, what can we do here? What do we need to do here moving forward? And what conversations do we need to have? And those were difficult conversations, but a lot of good things came out of those. A lot of people were reached with those conversations, and just gave me confidence. And then I got a chance to, during the summer, just being away from baseball, I got to go to some communities in West Louisville and work with some of the teams there that are completely minority teams. Like, I think they have 1 white kid on the team. So these are kids that, you know, are always told like, play basketball, play football, whatever, and they're playing baseball, and that fires me up because, you know, that was a way for me. You know, I was always the one black kid or whatever on the team, like on the travel ball teams, and it always feels weird, and, you know, it's a little uncomfortable. And I was telling those kids, like, you guys can do whatever you want in life, really. Like, you're 11, 12 years old. Like, I want you guys to be able to know that you all are brothers through all, and that your friends have your back, and that you guys have all the same abilities in the world. And just because you are black doesn't mean you're not supposed to be good at baseball. And that's sometimes that's hard. That's a hard concept to wrap your head around. Like, I think a lot of times those kids get in the game and they're like just happy to be there, or they expect to lose because they may be good at another sport. And, you know, the voice of Black players in baseball is starting to have an uprising over this year, which has been something that's been really exciting to see, and has been much better than in the past. And that's always that was something that I got to express to Dayton. It's like, I think we can do a better job with our voice and get in our communities and actually develop personable relationships with people, which is what I'm really about. Really, it's just about just hoping that people can see that we can all have equality and that we need to move towards each other, not away from each other. I know it's been tough with politics, racism, you know, do you think wearing a mask is good or not? Like, do you want to follow that protocol, like freedom of speech and all that stuff? And man, it's been a heavy year, but it's allowed me to kind of get closer towards what I feel like my calling is in life. Because I think we'd be selling ourselves short if we just said, "Oh, I just want to be a Major League Baseball player." That lasts for maybe 10 years if you were one of the best ever, right? We got a whole life ahead of us. So our job is to, as baseball players or professional athletes or whatever we're doing, like, is to use the game for better, not let the game use us and chew us up and spit us out and then be left out on the side of the street or whatever, just wondering like what to do next. But using this as kind of like a platform to do better in the world and to bring good things and good energy into the world.
And that's like, the leave the game in a better place than you found it. And it's not necessarily about all on the field stuff. It's the fact that we can have this conversation right now and put it out there. It's everything. That's what it's all about, is leaving it better than you found it, and that's one of my favorite things that Dayton Moore says. It's one of the things that's lasted, that's really stuck with me. And like, that's what I want to do. I want people to look at how I approach things and follow in those footsteps, or, change a few things along the way. But like, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, 100%.
I just think it's so great too, like just hearing you share your experience of just what happened this year. Like, you go back 100 years ago, like there's no way the GM, the AGMs of any major league team are talking to players to try to understand, right?
Right.
Like, that's just insane, and it's sad that it's taken this long, but it's also a great thing that it's finally happening, and a follow-up to what you said, basically, like, you've gotten to the point where you're comfortable sharing experiences that, or your other side of your mindset that doesn't have to do with baseball. Do you feel like just growing up in such a public eye as a successful athlete, that this allowed you to become more comfortable talking about your experiences and what your thoughts are, since you're kind of already in the public eye as an athlete?
I think I've always like kind of I haven't always been there. Like, I've kind of just been like reserved, like kind of lay low, just put my head down and do the work. And I feel like I've kind of sold myself short on that over the last couple of years. And I've regretted that. And now, like, got an opportunity to still play the game. And, this year has taught me, like, our athlete lives are, the shelf life could be taken away like that, right? Like, one day they're telling us to go home and they're like, yeah, we don't know when you guys are going to play again. And I'm like, that was a huge wake up call to me. And like, hey man, like, you got to use your voice while you got it. And, I always used to say, well, I'll speak up when I get there or get to the show. And and it's like, you only got one life to live, man. Like, why are you waiting around to do something you want to do? Like, just send it, and you'll be happier with yourself that you did it, and you're also going to impact other people along the way, regardless of your audience, regardless of 100 people hear this, or you're LeBron and 100 million billion or whatever around the world hear this. Like, you're doing a good thing, and you'd be surprised the changes that you can make, and the things that the people that will cross you'll cross paths with along the way doing good things, and the situations you'll find yourselves in and the relationships you're developing. And I think that would be just like a call to action. Like, if something's like weighing on your heart and you're like holding it back a little bit, or kind of like holding it in, like, I think the only questions or things that you regret are the ones that you don't say or like ask, like it's better to get those things off your chest and to get them out there, because odds are there's gonna be somebody else that's in that position or that has struggled with those things or feels the same way, that needed that to see like, oh, well, somebody else is doing this. I can do this and do good things too. And I mean, that's that impact we're kind of talking about. And that's kind of the main theme of this is like, we want to do good things. And, that is a good thing. If you reach and inspire one person to go do something that they've been on the fence about, like, you did your job.
So we want to, just so we make sure we cover it, we want to shout out the Players Alliance and everything that they're doing. So why don't you talk about them a little bit?
Yeah. So Players Alliance, MLB and the black baseball players over the last 20 years have really stepped up. The guys that we grew up watching, the CC Sabathia, Curtis Granderson, Torrey Hunter, Ryan Howard, the guy, Dontrell Willis, the guys we grew up idolizing have come together, and along with the players that are in the game now, Jason Hayward, Dexter Fowler, all the guys that are at the top, and with the up and coming guys like myself and other black players across the league are coming together, and they've started the Players Alliance Pull-Up Tour, which is going to be a nationwide tour that's already underway and is making its way through black communities and inner city communities all around the country, and giving new gear to young baseball players in need, regardless of color, just players that are hungry to get better, but maybe don't have the funds or the means to do so. They're giving away COVID supplies, meals, clothes, just you name it. It's a good purpose. It's a good cause that's hopefully inspiring people across the country to go do good things in the holiday season and get in the gift of giving, and also allowing baseball to use their platform in a way that we haven't taken advantage of before. And that's been something really cool to see, is the Players Alliance forming over this summer. I know on Jackie Robinson Day, they all forfeited their salaries, and that's where this money's coming from. And then MLB matched the total of the salaries that were that they gave away for this cause, and matched it. And then, GMs have hopped on this, other brands have hopped in on this. And then, now this tour is going on around the country where, I don't even know how many millions of dollars have been raised, but it's currently making its way around. Next Friday, December 18th, they're going to be in Louisville, where I'm going to be. I'm going to be meeting up with these guys, and we're going to be doing the pull-up tour here in Louisville. And I'm going to have Chad Green along with me from the New York Yankees, and we're going to be just volunteering our time and giving away things to people that hopefully enjoy them baseball-wise, and can hopefully improve their game and realize that, their dreams aren't that far away, and just doing good for the community is really what it's about. And just baseball using its platform to impact the world in a way that hasn't been done before has been really cool to see. So, I'm happy to be a part of the Players Alliance. Like, stuff like this is what I've been dreaming about. And man, a crazy story. I was in Atlanta coaching, just here's another example. Like this summer, Wilson and Evo Shield, and Louisville Slugger. Wilson's the parent company of those two. And I'm under contract with Louisville Slugger. And I get a text saying, hey, do you want to come coach a team in Atlanta of young minority kids that are some of the best prospects in the country, the class of 2023, I believe. So they were 15, 16 years old, already committed to some of the best schools in the country. And, they just want to be around. We just want you to be there and just show these kids and use your voice, like what they can do and how to use it in a right way. So we're down there for the weekend. This was in late August, I believe. And, CC Sabathia is there. And I'm like, CC, man, like, obviously I'm starstruck, right? I'm like, oh my, what? I don't usually get like deer in the headlights, but I'm like, that's CC Sabathia. And I come up to him, I'm like, CC, man, like, I'm a part of the Players Alliance. Like, I want to know what I can do to continue to help and continue to fuel this, to lead this charge. Like, what's going on? And he's like, hey, man, take my number. We got something big coming, and now it's here. And this is what the pull-up tour, this is what he was talking about. The pull-up tour is here and is going on. I think it ends in Vallejo, California, where he's from. I want to say this is his idea, but, you know, they've already stopped and been all down the East Coast, Midwest, and are working their way through right now. And, yeah, Friday the 18th next week we'll be here, and it'll be me, Chad Green from the Yankees, just doing what we can to kind of give back and just use the platform as baseball players to do what we're talking about, and that's make an impact.
So is there anything that anybody listening to this can do? Is there somewhere they can donate, whether it's supplies, equipment, money, whatever it could be? Is there anywhere they can go to do that?
Yeah. I think if you want to make a donation, it's playersalliance.com. And I think we can figure out a way to get a link in the podcast bio or whatever. We'll make that happen. But I want to say that's a way to do it. I know that the outreach for people wanting to volunteer has gotten to a point where they're like almost turning people away, which is awesome. Like, sick. That's all we want. You know, you want too many people in doing a good thing. So you can try to see if they're coming through a city near you, volunteer, or if not, you know, find a way to pitch in $5, $10, whatever. I know not all of us are making the big mega contracts that some of these guys that I mentioned have made over their careers and are in that position to give back. And, like, you know, it doesn't always have to be, you always don't have to make the biggest splash, but, you know, just doing something to be a part of a good cause is more than doing nothing. And that's all we can really ask for.
So as Alex and I end the show, we have a segment we call 3 Up, 3 Down, where we each ask 3 questions in alternating order. And Alex tried to mess up our order in the last interview that we gave, and he got out of whack because he can't count. So, Alex, you're going to start, so then you know when we're done. So we each have 3 questions for you.
All right. First one, what is your favorite app in your phone?
Favorite app on my phone? ESPN Fantasy Football. No question.
Did you make the playoffs? That's not my question, but did you make the playoffs?
No. I'm actually dead last, and I have about 300 points more scored than the guy that's in the playoffs. Second place actually has less points scored than me, which is just, you know, don't hate the player, hate the game. You know, that's the nature of the beast, man. It's tough. But
is there any punishment for finishing last in your league?
Not currently, but I'm hoping that they don't. There is no punishment.
Next year,
probably.
Yeah. Do you prefer drinking out of plastic or glass?
I'm a glass guy.
What's your go-to playlist of music?
Ooh, man, that's a good question right there. Old school R&B, 90s, 80s, 2000s. That's my sweet spot.
It was a big day in music last night. Taylor Swift dropped. Kid Cudi dropped.
Jack Harlow dropped.
Big night last night.
Yeah, I got a lot of music to listen to today.
Yeah, you do. All right, so one thing you and I have in common is having German Shepherds as dogs. So what is the best thing about having a German Shepherd?
He is never more than 5 feet away from me at any time ever. That means all bathroom, outside. He'll never run away, and I don't have to worry about that. So I love that.
That's perfect. It's the opposite with me. Whenever my girlfriend's around, whenever Ryan's around, he's always around her.
Yeah. She's
his person, and I can't get over that.
Yeah. So the term Velcro pet, I get it now. I get it.
The third
one,
man,
best dog I've ever had.
I don't have a German Shepherd, but I want one now. I want one. Third one, as I'm keeping track now. What would be one number you've never worn in your baseball career that you've always wanted to wear?
Ooh, 45.
45. Where does that?
That was my dad's college basketball number.
Oh, nice. And the most important question that we ask on the podcast is, what is the best position in baseball? Not necessarily the most important.
Shortstop.
God, just so wrong.
No. Listen. I got a backstory. Fun fact, I'm left-handed. I actually didn't play outfield until I was 13 years old. I was a shortstop my whole life. Made 2 errors my 12-year-old season in 22 games. I mean, you can take that for what
No big deal. No big deal at all.
But I'm a shortstop at heart. I just happen to be left-handed.
Well, the correct answer is first base. So you failed that test. You went 2 for 3 in your questions.
If I ever play first base, that means my career is probably over. So that's why I can't answer that. I'm an outfielder. I got to be fast.
Well, really, I talk about how the main point of this podcast is to get to know people and hear their stories. No, the main point is for me to push how important and how good first base is. It's really the only reason. I make sure I mention it at least every podcast so everybody knows. Anybody that listens to it knows what the real best position is. But thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. This was really good. We got into some really, really cool stuff to talk about. So thank you for taking the time to come on.
Yeah, man. Alex, Vinnie, I appreciate you guys. Had a blast.
Good and stuff. The most now for Alex's favorite part, blow yourself up, 30-second elevator pitch. Where can people follow you on the on the socials, and what do you bring to the table?
My social, I used to have a whole bunch. Instagram, Anderson Miller, no spaces. Follow me on there. What am I going to bring to the table? I'm going to bring a lot of dog stories. I'm going to bring some social justice. I'm going to bring some dog pics, some baseball stuff. I'm versatile. My family's going to be on there. I have been taking I took a little break because I kind of got burnt out on the social media stuff with all the social justice going on. So I've kind of just been chilling, kind of restoring my energy. But you want to follow me on there, Instagram, Anderson Miller. That's my only handle. Hit me up.
Anderson Miller on Instagram. Everybody go follow him right now. But again, thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming on.
Thanks,
sir. Had a blast.
I forgot what to say. Hold on. Give me a second. It's a lot. It's a lot today.
I really want you to post this whole thing. Don't edit this.
Why? I can't post this.
Don't edit this. Go ahead. Start what you were going to do. Come on. You're going to post this. I'm not letting you edit this out. This is hilarious. Come on. Go into your outro. Alex is supposed to start the outro, but he can't get himself together. Come on. Be a professional. Let's go.
What a show with Anderson Miller. Great conversation, as always, as promised, a great conversation, and one that you hopefully will never forget.
Yep. I had a great time talking to him. Again, like I said earlier, I'm just happy he agreed to come on. He's such an impactful guy, and I'm glad we were able to, hopefully we can get, kind of his message out there. And like we said, the Players Alliance get their message out there too. So we want to just thank Anderson again for coming on. It was a blast talking to him.
I think he liked me better, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's all right. Can't win, like we say all the time, can't win them all. And I seem to be losing all of them, but I'll take that. That's okay.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is, right, Vinny?
It is what it is. You live and you learn. That's all I'm trying to do here.
Absolutely. Well, I have to say you did a great job in this interview, honestly. And I don't just say that. Well,
I appreciate that, Alex. That feels good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. As always, Vinny. What do you mean? Why is that a surprise? A compliment?
I didn't say anything about it being surprise. I just said I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Off. But no, I think in general, a great interview. And again, we'll be posting all the links to the Players Alliance below in this interview and on social media to how you can get involved, and you'll find all the information that you need to get involved and to just help out either your local community or another local community that the Players Alliance are working with.
It's all about giving back. That's all it is. For people who are in positions to give back. If you feel that need, do it, because it's a great feeling. So, again, thanks to Anderson Miller. Thanks for listening. We'll be back tomorrow because we've got another big show. We've got Jessica/Jess Kleinschmidt. It depends on where we post it, what she wants her name to be. So we've got her on the pod on Thursday, and we're really excited to bring that interview to you.
Jess is a great friend of mine, and I can't wait for all of you to hear that interview. There's a lot there. You just can't miss it. You can't miss it. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that one.
Yeah. So we'll see you tomorrow.